And well, we've got a couple of new people here. Has anyone? I'll just pause that. In mind, we will start the session. I'm just going to ring the bell using the singing bowl just to bring us together through sound. And giving ourselves permission to be fully present, exactly as we are. We don't need to strive to achieve a different state. Quite often, what emerges from a meditation is when we actually stop all that business, when we take a step back. And there's a simple teaching I'd like to explain to begin the session today. And it comes from Buddhism. It's the story or the sutra, the teaching of the two arrows. And it was explained that life will strike us with an arrow. And that arrow is some form of pain, whether it's an emotional difficulty, a physical ailment, any kind of moment that happens in our lives that makes us go ouch, that causes us some form of difficulty or suffering. And this is life. This is what the nature of being a human on earth is, that we're going to stumble, that we're going to have these uncomfortable moments. So that's the first arrow. Then the second arrow is explained as the mental activity that usually follows this first arrow. So we have a difficult moment, whether it's a physical pain, an emotional difficulty, we make a mistake, something doesn't go to plan. So that's already happened. And then we start building stories around it. The mind starts resisting it, perhaps. This shouldn't be happening. Might be that we blame ourselves or start to criticize ourselves. What kind of fool am I for making this mistake? It's a form of friction, internal friction that we create against reality. And it's the second arrow because it's like firing another arrow into the same wound. And in mindfulness, our focus really is on that second arrow. It's about becoming aware of our difficulties, aware of our sufferings. So we're not denying what's happening. We're acknowledging right now this is difficult, or this has happened, this is painful. And we're putting down the second arrow. And we become aware when that mental activity begins. I love meditation. For me, the experience is quite often I'll be focusing on my breath, and then before I know it, my mind has disappeared down the river of thinking into some planning, some imagination, some weird or wonderful place. And I may have been gone for a few seconds or a few minutes, and I all of a sudden remembering that I'm meditating. And in that moment, there's a instant criticism that comes in. Oh, I shouldn't have. Oh, I'm a bad meditator. Oh, I'm so distracted. Oh, I've spoilt the meditation. And that's the second arrow. The first arrow is the mind wanders, and the mind wanders all by itself. As any of us sort of practiced for a while, we get to know the mind. It is so tantalizing. It creeps in and pulls us away. It creeps in and pulls us away. So we know this. So we don't need to beat ourselves up for it. In fact, our practice in that moment is celebrating that we're back home again, that we've noticed that the mind has wandered. That's a practice that sits at the very heart of what mindfulness is noticing what's happening. And through understanding that it's the nature of the mind, we can bring compassion. And we don't need to criticize or beat ourselves up. In fact, that criticism and beating up is only more thinking. It's only more distraction. It's all part of the same internal noise. Now, we may have different experiences as we go through the meditation. We might find a physical irritation, maybe an itch. We might find a pain. We might stumble across a regret or an old memory. We might find some worry about the future. So the invitation during this practice is to notice when that's happening. Noticing this is the experience I'm having right now. I'm annoyed. And in that very simple act of labeling, we're already becoming more mindful because we're creating space between the event and our sense of self. It's a form of diffusion or detachment, expansion that helps to slightly change our perspective. And then we return back to this moment, maybe with the breath coming into the body, maybe checking in with the body, letting go of any unnecessary tension that often accompanies a wandering mind. And we start again and we patiently observe again. Observe the breath, observing the body. And it's that reflex, that skill that we're developing in our practice that helps us to respond more carefully with life, more kindly with ourselves and others. Bringing a bit more ease and openness into our lives. So if you haven't already, finding a posture, a position that feels comfortable. It's going to allow us to sit comfortably for the next 20 to 30 minutes. knowing that it's okay to move, it's okay to change position. But given the nature of today's practice, maybe observing is a more powerful option. What does it feel like to want to change position? What's actually happening? Is it an impulsive move, or could it genuinely relieve our discomfort? So while our body position is comfortable, we're also invited to bring some respect, some alertness to the body. And we can do that by straightening the spine, just floating the back of the head upwards slightly. Balance between being as tall as possible and as relaxed as possible. So we're as tall as possible and as relaxed as possible. Bringing to mind the intention of today's practice is to observe what's happening, no set plan or expectation of what should happen. And we're observing our attitude and our response, this second arrow. And we're not going to get it exactly right, but where possible, we're aiming to let go and return back to our body and our breath. As soon as we notice that we've got lost in some way. And we let go of any ideas, any expectations, any need to perform. We're just starting to experience what it's like to be here. And part of stepping into this practice is bringing attention to the breath. Noticing how the breath moves in and out of the body. Noticing how the breath moves the body. And we might be aware of air moving in the nose. Maybe it's in the throat. Noticing the breath in the chest, the belly. Sensing into the breath. So we're tuning into how it feels to breathe. And we may find the breath naturally softens, naturally deepens, naturally slows down just by bringing attention to it. And we can also practice that by breathing in a little softer, but a little deeper. And breathing out a little slower and a little longer. So in deep and out slow. And we just return to this each time the mind flutters off into thinking. And we may find ourselves doing that almost every breath is just coming back home. Okay, sensing the breath in the body again. Deepening the breath, slowing the breath. Softening the breath and lengthening the breath. And then we let go of that controlling the breath or managing the breath in any way. And simply observing the exhale or the out breath and noticing how that is felt in the body. Maybe it's a softening of the shoulders, a relaxing of the face. Allowing the breath to breathe itself if it wants to be a bit short. Simply observing it. If it's rough, observing that. If it's smooth, observing that. And as we breathe out, we're becoming more aware of the whole body. So we're feeling into our space. Noticing the size and shape of the body. The weight and the position of the body. And bringing more attention now to the points of contact with the ground, whether that's our feet on the floor or whatever we're sat on. We're noticing that. We move up the body, noticing the belly, the area around our hips, that sort of midriff. I'm not looking for anything special, just what is it like to have a belly? Is it moving? Is it still? Is it obvious or perhaps a bit vague? And coming up into the upper torso, so it includes the chest and the ribs, the upper back. Often picking up emotions in this area. You might even notice the heart beating. And observing without judgment if that area feels light or heavy, tight or expansive. Is it warm or cool? And again, bringing attention now to the shoulders and the arms, all the way down to the hands. Just noticing what's here. We might feel tingling in the palms. We might feel heaviness in the arms. We might feel fidgety. And if at any point we find the mind wandering off, we invite our attention back into the body with the breath. And starting to notice the body again, and we're focusing on the shoulders and the arms and the hands. And moving up through the neck and the throat, and filling the face and the head with awareness. Noticing any sensations around the delicate parts of the face, the lips, the eyes, the nose. We may notice we're carrying some tension in the jaw. And that's okay. We might invite a little jaw wiggle. Just to help that area to settle, to let go. Noticing the brow and the forehead, the scalp. And here we rest. So we've got nothing to do. It's the whole body resting on the ground. Noticing the movement of the breath in the body. And noticing the quality of the mind. And the mind is quite often in some form of problem-solving mode. Be looking for something in the past or the future or in this moment. So just acknowledging and actually being grateful for this wonderful faculty of thinking. Just reminding that part of us that we don't need answers right now. There's nothing to solve. That there's nowhere to get to. We don't need to be anything or anyone. And it may feel like we're doing a really good job at staying present for a moment. And we're somehow pulled back into thinking without even consciously choosing it. And this is really, really common. And it's not a mistake. It's actually very much part of a meditation is to wonder. The only difference is when we notice that we're doing it, our first choice is letting go of it. As tempting as it may be to burrow into that thought, to hold on to some insight, to solve that thing that's popped up. And that's okay as well, but can we just choose to come back to the breath instead? And we come back to that felt sense of the breath. Sensing into breathing. And noticing what our reaction is to whatever's happened as well. Any tone of criticism? Maybe there's a sense of accomplishment, right? Feel like we're getting it right. But our only job is to really be here with the breath in the body. And as we come toward the end of the practice, we recognize that part of meditation is about helping ourselves, and it's also about helping others. Because when we practice being with ourselves like this, no matter whether it's seemingly gone great or terribly, we've actually committed to doing something wholesome, restorative, and that naturally ripples into our relationships, into our lives. And benefits those that we meet. And if we've had a difficult ride, or any sense of things not going quite right, then an invitation just to place a hand on the chest and just to let ourselves off the hook. Knowing that we're worthy of forgiveness, we're allowed to make mistakes, and we're allowed to start again. That we're not alone. We're all running the same human software program. And as we close the practice, just having a moment of reflection, may consider just for a minute or two, what was that like looking back over the last 30 minutes? What was it like? And there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. No answer is an answer.